When you're trying to communicate in English, do you sometimes struggle and just get stuck, or maybe your brain freezes and you think, wow, how can I improve? How can I actually start to identify the gaps in my English communication skills, and what steps can I take to help me to finally overcome these challenges and some of these hurdles that we face in English? So in this video today, I'm going to give you some practical tips on how, first of all, you can identify your gaps in your English communication skills. Then how can you create a plan to help you to overcome some of these challenges and hurdles in your English? And then finally, some advice to help you structure it and finally start to figure out ways that you can actually recover within a conversation. So we call this English communication recovery practice. It's actually when you are speaking and you can't remember a word, and then you find another way to describe it or to give the summary. And this is really good practice to help you to not just identify your weaknesses in English, but to help you, to give you a solution to finally starting to be able to use various ways of saying things in English, because English is a very flexible language, so even if you forget how to express something in one way, there are a million other ways, okay? But it means your vocabulary level needs to be higher, your communication skills need to be higher, and your language accuracy also needs to be higher, so that you can start expressing things in various ways and you don't often get stuck. If you're just relying on one language pattern, one sentence pattern, you become a lot more restricted in the way that you use English. Whereas, for native speakers, for example, they have a whole range of vocabulary and sentence patterns and grammar that they can use to help them to really start to articulate and to express things in a way that's very natural, that's very native, and shows a lot of confidence in their language abilities, okay? This is also related to something called automatization. So automatization is when in your mind, the neural pathways can automatically bring the words to your mind very quickly, automatically, subconsciously. Whereas when you're learning English as a second language, it takes, of course, a long time to develop automatization. But when you, over time, as your vocabulary builds, as these grammatical patterns start to become ingrained in your mind, then you're really going to start to see huge improvement in your language speed, in your language fluency, because your neural pathways are actively strengthened and they are working much harder to bring you the vocabulary that you need and to help you to feel good when you are expressing things in English, okay? So the first point that I want to bring up is, how can we identify what are the gaps in our language skills? Luckily, there's a very easy way to do this, okay? Start speaking, and when you get stuck, that is a gap. Okay, so this is why speaking practice is so useful, because whenever you are using words that you're not confident in, it's you can't hide behind a language, you can't hide behind your language skill, okay? It's very obvious and it's very clear what your level is, what your ability is, and it's related to three aspects. One, your speed. Two, what vocabulary are you using? And three, how many interruptions are there in your speaking patterns? So if you start to say a sentence and you get stuck even in that first part of the sentence, that highlights that you are not able to actually express something even in a basic way to start your sentence. So that actually means that your vocabulary level is maybe a little low, and so you need to focus on that a lot more. And it also highlights that your organization in English, the way that you're organizing your thoughts, is actually not that strong either, compared to after you speak for maybe a minute and then you start to highlight some gaps, you start to pause a bit more. Maybe you're explaining a topic, or you're giving a summary, or you're just trying to express your opinion, your idea. After 1 minute, you've already used a lot of vocabulary and you've had to navigate your thought pattern and how to organize your logic in English, and then you start to struggle. you know, that shows that you have a very high level of vocabulary. It shows that you have a high ability to structure your ideas and thoughts in English, because you've already been able to speak for at least, you know, a minute to be able to express your ideas. Of course, it depends on the topic. You know, some topics you might feel comfortable with, and others you feel that you have more gaps, you know. So that's why it's really important to discuss lots of different topics and to expose yourself to lots of different speaking environments, because there might be one where you feel pretty good and then another one where you feel really awful. Okay, you know, we've all had that horrible feeling when learning a language where you just start to feel stressed, you start to feel a little worried, you feel like your level is actually better, but your ability to speak becomes really limited because you're getting more nervous, because you're getting more stressed. So this actually slows down your mind. So this is the opposite of automatization. Yeah, it's when stress and pressure starts to limit your language ability, because you start to get stuck in your head a little bit more rather than feeling relaxed, and you're able then to let the language flow. So identifying your language gaps, of course, requires speaking. So you can speak with yourself. Of course, it's better to speak with a coach and to speak with a communication coach that can help you, can guide you, can provide a framework, and also can give you that instantaneous feedback, which is so valuable and so useful when you are a language learner. And I think a lot of people, when they are learning a language, they really don't know what is that roadmap. You know, how do they know that they are improving? How can they know that they are getting better? You know, so if you are interested in doing a communication course, you can head to VALLHO. I will drop the link below in the comments, so you can check out some communication courses that will really help you to boost your English language skill. Okay, so first you have to identify the gaps. Okay, so identify the gaps, and then when you've identified these gaps, what do? Okay, so when you say a sentence and you get stuck and you don't know the word, of course, then you need to check how can you say it, how can you express it. So there are only three ways to do that. One, use a translation tool online. Two, you can use AI to give you some feedback. And three, to use a personal coach to guide you and give you that instantaneous feedback, to help give you the right corrections and to guide you into a thought pattern and a logic that's more natural when you are speaking. So when we're communicating in English, we need to identify the gaps, but then we need to use some tools and some ways to help us to fill these gaps. So the more often you have gaps, that's good. It's a good thing. It means that you have work to do. It means that you are at a point in your language journey where you are still developing the language and you are using the vocabulary, hopefully actively, not passively, because yeah, as we know, passive vocabulary is not very useful to us. And normally this happens when you like to read a lot in English, maybe you like to listen a lot, but you don't ever speak. And yeah, you become really limited in your active ability. So again, active practice requires speaking. It requires using your mouth in whichever way you want to do that. It's up to you, but of course the most efficient way is to practice with another person to help you, and that's why, you know, in this day and age, I think we have the best it's the best time to learn a language now, because, you know, in the past, I can't imagine just with a textbook, you know, without many online resources to help you, you're just kind of stuck in no man's land when you're learning a language and you don't really know where to go with it. So identify the gaps, then figure out what roadmap you want to follow. And this is a weekly process that you're going to be doing. Okay, so again, you're going to be acquiring a vocabulary list that, you know, highlight these words that you don't know. And then I've made some videos before in the past about how can you use this vocabulary. I've suggested things like generating summaries using AI, creating stories with AI to help you use spaced repetition to start remembering this vocabulary. Okay, so the third thing is to think about these situations that you want to really get better in English. So whether it's small talk, whether it's for interviews, or whether it's for expressing your opinion with friends in a group situation, you know, these are all different situations, so you need to practice them all, and they will require different types of practice. So interview, for example, is more intensive. You need to memorize more things in your short-term memory because it's just achieving that goal that's more short-term. But for the other two, for speaking, for small talk, and then also for speaking in a group and expressing your ideas and opinions, this is going to require much more long-term active vocabulary. So you need to be following a process that has a more long-term goal and a more long-term focus to help you achieve this. So what have we discussed in this class, in this video today? So we've discussed identifying your gaps, using resources and tools to help you close these gaps, bridge these gaps, and then also figuring out how you can actually be how you can utilize these as a learner, and what trajectory and what roadmap you can follow to help you bridge these gaps in your English skills. Okay, so yeah, I hope you found this video useful today, guys. And if you did, you can head to VALLHO.com. The VALLHO is a communication coaching platform that will help you to bridge your gaps in your English, to help you to highlight these challenges that you face, the vocabulary that you can't use, to help you to organize your thoughts in a logical way, in a way that helps you to become a better communicator in English. Okay, and yeah, I hope you can get some value from this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I will see you on the next one.